Anyone? Okay, I see some coming through. Thank you.
Uh,
Relevance.
if I can come in there, Shazia, first, Fred Cook said keywords usage change. Frank said relevance. Sabelo relevance. Tlotlhiso search volume.
Okay. Thank you for participating. Let's go through it together. You can continue to share your responses. Many of you said relevance, which is correct. So you need to identify how closely does the keyword align with your app's functionality and your user needs, right? So that's what we mean when we say relevance. Is it relevant to your app and to your user needs? The next one is search volumes. So how many people are searching for this keyword? Okay. And then the next one is competition. How difficult is it to rank for this keyword? You need to aim for a balance between high volume and also manageable competition. And then lastly is your user intent. So this is another factor you need to consider. So what are users hoping to achieve when they search for this keyword? And does your app specifically address their need, right? So thank you for your participation. We're going to dive into a practical example using your Jogging Friends app idea in South Africa, right? So we're going to focus on how to identify the high value keywords. So this is a social fitness app that connects joggers in South Africa, as we can see, and it allows them to find running buddies, join group runs, discover new routes, and also track their progress. So when using the following examples, right? So let's look at this example. So can you explain if the keywords match the criteria outlined in the previous slide? So remember, we mentioned that they need to be relevant. We need to factor in the search volume. We need to factor in the competition, right? So how many other competitors are using the keyword, and also how easy it is to rank for the keyword, and then user intent as well. Okay, so we're going to focus on this when in groups, right? So these are the example keywords basically that you see: number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So you need to explain if these keywords match the criteria in the previous slide. We are supposed to be breaking out in breakout groups, and to discuss the value of these specific keywords. And we will take about 5 minutes to do so. Mashudu, are you able to assist with the breakout groups?
Let me have a look. Just give me a sec. Um, no, I don't have that. Oh, yeah, there is that function. Let me see what I can do.
Okay, thank you.
Um, I think it's going to take time. I think what.
Okay, if it's going to take time, let's not do the breakout groups. Perhaps everyone can then discuss their thoughts on this in the chat. Are you comfortable with that, Mashudu?
Yes, I think that's the best option. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give everyone 3 minutes to just think about this, right? Please leave your responses in the chat. So think about how these keywords listed number 1 to 5, or key phrases rather, and explain, in your opinion, if they match the criteria that we were discussing, which is, are they relevant? What's your opinion when it comes to their search volume and the competition, and also the user intent? We will give everyone just 2 minutes.
There is a hand from Sabelo. Sabelo, please go ahead.
Yeah, morning everyone. So a question is, so with this activity, are we supposed to be using the tools, the other websites to search these words and see if they're like trending or the volumes and then come back?
You can if you want to, but because we are short on time, you can just share your opinion. Like, for example, do you think that these keywords are relevant and why, in your opinion? And also, when looking at user intent, do you think that they would appeal to the ideal user who is, searching for jogging apps in South Africa?
Okay. Yeah. Uh, yes, yes. I think the first one just it says everything. Yeah.
Running apps in South Africa, and you think that this is relevant, you think that it matches the user intent.
Yes, because it also, if you're in South Africa, then you already know, unlike the other ones, which are like specific to the city.
But don't you think that maybe it might be difficult to rank for that keyword?
Because it's long.
um, Maybe because it's not very specific
Okay,
and it's more
okay, I see.
broad. So the competition in terms of ranking for that keyword, although it matches user intent and it's great for relevance, the one thing you need to be mindful of is that it might be competitive to rank for that keyword.
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
great. If I can, Shaiza, if I can read the comments here for you. Let's start with, I'll be very quick. Let's start with Frank. Frank said, I think number one fits all the criteria. I will skip, let's read Global App says number five, which is track my running progress free. And Rodrigo said, trail running routes, Devon is only relevant if the app maps the routes. So yeah, those are the comments, and I skip some of the comments for the sake of time.
Okay. Thank you. So, thank you for sharing and also participating in the chat. I think that we understand what we were trying to achieve with this activity. We'll look at just maybe two of the keywords, right? So, running app South Africa being the first one, which we touched on with Sabelo. We understand that it is highly relevant and it states the app's purpose and also targets the location being South Africa, right? The search volume, however, is likely to have moderate to high search volumes, and because it's a common need, people would generally be searching for running apps in South Africa if that is what they, that's their interest and that's what they're looking for. When it comes to competition, as I've mentioned, it is expected to have quite a moderate to high competition because many fitness apps that are running apps, caters to this common need. But when it comes to user intent, users want a running app specifically for South Africa. So this is a good keyword, and it will allow the app to rank because it is an app that then fulfills the need. Okay, when we look at trail running routes in Durban specifically, it's relevant if the app includes route discovery, especially trail running. When it comes to search volume, it likely has a lower search volume, but a more niche and specific audience. And when it comes to competition, it's potentially less competition for this specific activity, and it's very location specific as well. And then in terms of users, so the users of this app want to find trail running routes in Durban, so the app would cater towards this need. So thank you again for participating. in this activity. We have another short activity that we're just going to take a few minutes to do as well, and I want you to take a few moments to review your keywords. So now that we've had a practical example, think about your app and review the keywords for your business against the criteria. So again, relevance, competition, user intent, and volume, right? Adjust your keywords if needed, right? So I know that you have a notebook. You can please note this revised keywords down in your notebook. I'm going to give you just 2 minutes to do this because I do think it's important now that we've had a practical example and understand the elements that we're working on. Please take a moment to think about your keywords, review them, and write them down in your notebook against each of the criteria. So evaluate: is it relevant? What is the opportunity from a competition perspective to list for those keywords? Is it a competitive keyword? Does it take into account user intent? So make a review against those 4 elements for your keywords, please. And I'll give you 2 minutes to do this. Please note it down in your notebook. You don't have to share it in the chat box. Okay. If you do need more time to do this, please try and complete this after the session. I think it would be really beneficial for your own learning and evaluation. I'm going to move on just for the sake of time. And we are going to move on into segmentation when it comes to keywords, right? So segmenting keywords by user journey specifically helps you target potential users at each stage, making your campaigns more effective. And we are going to dive into this. So we know that we have different phases, right? So our users often go through firstly an awareness phase, a consideration phase, and a decision phase. So we'll now consider these different stages that users may be in during their user journey. We're not going to break out into groups or anything, and we're going to allow you to do a few minutes to do this activity, or rather get started with it. But I want you to just take into consideration these main 3 phases, right? And consider the app that helps people with gardening. So we're going to look at a specific app, right? It's an app that helps people with gardening. So work through the keywords you could create for the app depending on the phase the user is in. So, for example, in awareness phase, it maybe you have certain groups of people who are in the awareness phase and searching for gardening apps or apps that help people with gardening. What are some of the keywords you'd use? For group 2, if they're in the consideration phase, right? So they are aware of the app or the functionalities, but they still are still considering if it's the correct app for them. What are some of the keywords you'd use there? And then when it comes to decision phase, which is typically where they, install the app and create a profile or start utilizing the app, what are some of the keywords you'd use when it comes to maybe pop-up messages or app messaging, in that case, or even on your website as well, to encourage them as a call to action to download the app. So if you do successfully complete this and you give it some thought, I'd encourage you to please share your answers in the chat. Again, there's no wrong and right answer. It's just an activity to encourage you to explore your thought process and give this a think. Remember, the topic or the app that we are discussing or we are thinking about here is an app that helps people with gardening. Okay, so for this one, I'll give you just 5 minutes, right? Please leave your keywords that you think would be good to use for each phase in the chat. Thank you.
There is a comment in the chat box from the house of Thorn. The comment is gardening for beginners. Gardening app and garden ideas. So those are three keywords suggested.
Thank you. And I think those would fall under the group 1 awareness phase quite well. We are going to allow everyone just 4 more minutes to give this a think and share your answers in the chat. Remember to just categorize them. So, for example, if you say awareness phase and then leave your keywords, and in consideration phase, you leave your keyword, and then decision phase, leave your keyword examples. Okay, I've noted some responses coming through. Thank you.
Yep. So we have Darren. Let's start with Darren. Now let's start with Frank. Gardening for dummies. That's awareness. Know what to plant, where and when. Consideration. Gardening link. Gardening like a pro. That's decision. And for Darren says group 1 awareness, gardening tips. Group 2 consideration, gardening app for beginners. Group 3 decision, install gardening app. And for the House of Thorn, it's phase 3, download gardening app. Muzi looking at awareness, gardening 101, that's good. First step in gardening, how to start gardening. What is consideration? Setting up a garden, choosing garden types, decision, planting a citrus tree, how to grow tomatoes. Mini says group 1, 2, and 3, gardening made easy, gardening tips on your fingertips. That's group 1. Group 2, your gardening partner. Group 3, understanding your plants, talk to your garden. So I think just for the sake of time, we could just keep it there.
Okay. All right. So let's just close this off and quickly discuss it. A lot of the suggestions that you shared were great, and thank you for giving it some time. So when we look at the primary keywords to use, right, and some of the examples at the awareness phase, it was very interesting to see that you understand your users and what they generally be searching for in this phase. So these are these are generally general keywords, high volume keywords that people use when they first searching for a solution to their problem. So they are often very broad terms that describe the basic function of the app. So since this user journey is in the awareness phase, the user recognizes the need that they have for gardening, gardening tips or gardening apps, and they start searching for solutions. So examples for that a gardener would, type would be gardening tips, gardening 101, or gardening apps, a lot of the broad ideas that you guys have suggested. And then when we look at the secondary keywords for the consideration stage, obviously these are a little bit more specific, moderate volume keywords that people use when they start to compare different options. So they could include features, benefits, or even specific use cases. So the example, for this one would be gardening maintenance notification, even planting tracker, calendar for gardening. Also, it could also be an ad-free plant identifier as well. And then when we go to the long tail keywords or the decision stage, right? So these are more specific, low volume keywords that people use when they are close to making a decision. And they often include detailed descriptions of what they are looking for. So it's a little bit more detailed. So the user is obviously in the decision stage, right? And they are ready to choose an app and is looking for very specific details. So some of these keywords, for example, would be best app to track gardening schedule or reliable gardening services near me. So thank you again for participating. The next thing we will look at is how to implement effective bidding strategies when it comes to your campaign creatives. So we have already discussed bidding strategies at length. And just to recap, setting the right bidding strategy for your app campaign starts with defining your goals. So whether you are looking to increase brand awareness, drive app installs, or even encourage in-app purchases, your objectives will ultimately shape the most effective bidding strategy. Okay, so it's important to then match your goal with or to a bidding strategy. So, do you remember the 4 bidding strategies? Does anyone remember them? Can you share in the comments if you do? Okay. So we'll look at them together, right? The 4 main bidding strategies are as follows. So when we say target CPA, CPA means cost per action. So this is ideal if you want a specific action like a registration or purchase. You set the maximum you'll pay for this action. So the maximum you'll pay for maybe a registration or purchase of something. The next one is maximize conversions. So if your goal of your campaign is just simply to get as many conversions as possible, which would be, app installs, then this strategy automatically sets the bid to achieve that within your budget. Okay. The third one we look at is maximize clicks. So this is very good for driving traffic to your app store page or even your website, but it's not always the most efficient because a click doesn't automatically translate into a conversion, which is a download. Okay, and then set it back to front. Sorry, but yeah, that's what I was talking about. The maximize clicks. What I didn't touch on is the manual bidding part of it. So the manual bidding gives you more control because then you are allowed to set your your budget and your maximum bidding for the campaign. But it also requires you to monitor your campaign performance correctly and also adjust it based on your budget. So those are mainly the 4 bidding strategies when it comes to campaign creation. The next thing we will look at is competitive baselines, right? So why is it important to set a competitive baseline? I want you to just think about this for a moment, right? Why is it important to set a competitive baseline or budget when it comes to your bidding and your campaign? It's very important because firstly, it avoids underbidding, right? If your bids are too low, your ads won't be seen by your potential users. And then that means your results will not be, what you wanted, and you would have missed opportunities. Another reason why it's important to set a competitive baseline is because you also avoid overspending. So bidding excessively on high on high competition keywords can drain your budget, and it might not have a significant return. You also need to make sure to optimize your budget, right? So by understanding the competitive landscape, you can allocate your budget effectively to the keywords that drive the best results. And lastly, having a competitive baseline allows you to make informed decisions. So it provides you with a benchmark for evaluating your bids and making data-driven adjustments based on that. So you are more realistic and you are more calculated when it comes to your campaign as well. Okay, so how now that we understand the importance about when it comes to competitive baselines, right? Let's evaluate how you can set a competitive baseline. Firstly, you need to begin with keyword research. So again, you use tools like Google Keyword Planner to understand the average cost per click which is also CPC, as many of you may know, for different target keywords. So the keyword planner does provide an estimate of the cost per click for the different keywords, and this will help you also set a realistic budget because you'll have oversight of that. When it comes to competitor analysis, you need to research what your competitors are bidding. So tools like App Annie and also Sensor Tower can provide you with insight into your competitor bidding and strategies. And then you need to set your initial bids. So you need to start with being very realistic. And stick to your budget. You can also adjust your bids later on and adjust your campaign based on the performance and the outcomes that you are seeing. Okay. So now we're going to discuss implementing smart bidding techniques. And we are going to look at the two different types of bidding, right? So when we look at automated bidding, just going to go back one, automated bidding, right? So you need to consider using automated bidding strategies often offered by the ad platform, so Google AdWords, for example. And these machine learning, then, the platform makes use of machine learnings, and this approach then optimizes your bids to in real time based on your campaign goals and your performance data. So while automated bidding can save time, a lot of time, and also improve your performance, it's important to monitor your campaigns closely and watch them, right? So machine learning algorithms may not always account for sudden changes in the market or unexpected fluctuations in user behavior. So continuously review your campaign and make manual adjustments where necessary to ensure that you are accounting for that. Okay. The next thing we look at is the manual bidding. So if you prefer to have more control and manual control specifically, you can actively monitor your campaigns and adjust them based on the performance. Okay. So now we are going to discuss optimizing your keywords for performance. Okay. And this will also help us to ensure that campaigns are successful. So we are going to look at a case example in the next section. To help us optimize our keyword search based on a specific app idea again. So just to refresh your memory of optimizing keyword performance, remember that you should firstly monitor the key metrics such as click-through rate and conversion rate. Make sure to identify top performers and underachievers when it comes to keywords. Then you will also refine your bidding as discussed. So ensure that your bids, you adjust your bids and they are according to your budget, and you are optimizing for your budget allocation. And then you can also apply A/B testing. So you should experiment with different variations of the campaigns, using different keywords, different elements, but promoting essentially the same thing. And this will help you determine what keywords work best, and it will also analyze your data based on your performance. Okay, so now we are going to look at an activity, right? So you are creating an app that allows users to photograph an outfit and find where to buy the elements of an outfit. So we're not going to do this in groups because of time, but I'd like you to let's go through this and then we can do it individually. So you need to come up with a keyword strategy and bidding techniques that you would use to utilize on an effective app campaign. So you'll have 15 minutes to do this, right? You can decide which group you'd like to do. Would you like to engage in the decision stage, awareness stage, or consideration stage? And all you have to do is come up with this keyword strategy for the stage that you choose. And what will your bidding techniques be to utilize an effective, to make sure that you have an effective app campaign? So please give yourself some time to do this. We are going to take 10 minutes, if that's okay with you, Mashudu. Just 10 minutes so that everyone can have an opportunity to engage in this. They will drop their answers in the chat.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Brandon went under the hood of these exact mechanics on the main stage yesterday, and we have pulled the highlights from that session. It is a cheat sheet you need to use to know how UCP, direct offers, and the universal cart actually looks like in the real world. Let's take a look at the future of the storefront.
Yesterday at I/O, we announced the Universal Cart, which we're introducing to the US in the coming months. Now, this is a truly intelligent shopping cart for consumers and a new agentic hub for shopping on Google. It works across merchants and across Google surfaces. It's a total game changer.
The moment you add a product to your cart, it goes to work for you. Here you can see items that have been added from Wayfair and Nike. It's tracking price changes, and it will even alert you when things come back in stock.
So think of it as shopping, but with superpowers. It runs on Gemini models, so your cart gets even smarter as the models improve. Now, we're excited for this to be rolling out in the US to Search and the Gemini app this summer, and then with YouTube and Gemini coming next.
Do you remember that great offer from Wayfair that was just too good to pass up? Well, in the US, eligible retailers who are set up with UCP will soon be able to facilitate checkout straight from direct offers in AI mode. So with one click, you get the buy button with a direct offer automatically applied at checkout. So let's say I'm watching YouTube after dinner and I see a Mother's Day ad from Etsy. What's great about these shoppable formats is that you don't just see a video ad, but you also see a few product listings in this takeover-like experience. What is new is this nifty button right here. When a user clicks Buy Now, they're taken directly to a branded checkout screen right in YouTube, and their shipping and payment information is pre-filled as usual. So all they need to do is click Pay with Google Pay, and they're done.
So we already know that YouTube and video play a major role in driving conversions. This new feature is a game changer for reducing that friction between I want something and I bought something. Now, in the same way the Buy Now button helps simplify shopping on the web, UCP is bringing that ease of video across screens, including connected TVs. Creative drives as much as half of incremental sales. Now, we've been working hard to supercharge your creative using the Gemini advantage. And so that's why we built Asset Studio. Now, we've integrated our latest models from Gemini, including Veo and Nano Banana. I love saying Nano Banana, by the way. And this summer, we're adding our latest model, which we just announced yesterday, Gemini Omni. Asset Studio is also becoming more connected to your creative workflows. We're making it really easy to just pull them all into Asset Studio. So listen up. Whether you're using YouTube Studio, Product Studio, Pomeli, or even if you're working in Canva or Adobe, it can all just show up in your library. And for those of you managing thousands of ads, we're even opening this up through our API to help you scale your assets instantly in our tools. So Brandon, let's take a look at how a brand like Inner Child take this to work for her business.
All right, as we can see, Michelle's brand is all about whimsical home decor. It has a large catalog, and keeping that content fresh for every product is a big challenge for her team. But that's where Pomeli comes in. Pomeli is a tool in Google Labs that has really helped Michelle with this problem. You can just paste in a URL from your website, and it instantly generates on-brand images and videos that you can use on website and social, like the ones you can see right here. And the great thing is, because everything is connected, those Pomeli images are already waiting in Asset Studio, ready to be turned into high-performing ads.
But we aren't stopping there. You need video, and lots of it, so you can maximize results with your demand gen campaigns, by the way. When you make videos in Asset Studio, you can be confident that they're built to perform on YouTube.
So first, you can choose a narrative, which will be the basis for your video content. Then you'll get a storyboard where you can see each scene before the video renders. You can tweak the storyboard, swap out different scenes, or even change the flow. One last thing, and it may be one of the most important. No business can afford to waste money on ads that just don't work. So we're making testing a standard part of your workflow by introducing one-click A/B testing. You just pick the assets you're most excited about, you hit save and create tests, and the system will automatically run them against your best performing ones to see which ones are better. And for larger businesses, even if you're creating your assets elsewhere, this is really important for you as well, because you can test hundreds of different variations all at the same time.
As we redefine what's possible with search and with commerce, the business opportunity and the aperture for your business only widens. We aren't just showing an ad. We're framing your products as the perfect answer and offering a personalized experience that takes your customers from curiosity to checkout.
It started small.
Here we are, one of the elephants.
A place to tell stories and share them with the world. And then it grew.
Okay, do we have any
what's happening in the world.
volunteers who would like to, if you thought about the decision stage, and even if you put your answers in the chat, would you like to discuss it and share what are some of the keywords and what's the bidding strategy you came up for that stage? Any takers? Or even if you've done the others. I think we have someone?
Yeah, it's Muzi. Yeah, I was saying I think I'd like to give it a shot.
Okay.
So for the decision stage, because this is an app, I'll primarily go for the, what do you call it, cost per install, right? As a strategy to focus on helping people downloading the app. Right. However, the keywords would be generic in the sense of being generic in fashion apps, just to let people know what that the app exists, but try to pay for installs as it's a new thing. And then as for awareness, I'm thinking going for something like cost per impression, where it's mostly about just letting users know about the application. And then also, that's where I get confused. In my mind, I'll still probably go for the same or similar keywords related to fashion in general. However, how the bidding strategy would change from focusing on installs to focusing on focusing on impressions. And then the consideration stage, I'll go for cost per action. I think also this is where ROAS would also come in. But here it will be mostly about buying your latest fashion using this app or anything like that.
Okay, so you've given a nice explanation about how you would actually adjust your bidding strategies as you create campaigns for users within the different stages. And you also mentioned a key element which shows your understanding that in the consideration stage, you would also make sure you use cost per action, because that's where you want them to download. So I think that well done. You do understand how to adjust your bidding strategies based on the different campaigns created at the different phases. Is there anyone else who would like to share keywords specifically, like the keywords that they'd also use at the different stages for the specific app? Let's look at a specific answer to maybe a question to encourage participation. So with the keywords specifically, right? What keywords would you use to differentiate your app from the competitors? Anyone? If you have a hand, please go ahead and unmute.
I think I would add keywords relating to the app's unique features, or highlighting the quality of the app. So something like saying that it's fast scanning or instant scanning, or something about it finding the most cost competitive result for you.
Mm-hmm.
So budget results scanner or something like that.
Okay, I think that's correct, because the benefits and the unique, those unique points of the app would help the app stand out from other apps that are quite similar to that one specifically. So those are good keywords. As an example, you've mentioned the example of the keywords as well. And I think that Muzi took us through the bidding strategy that aligned with the assigned user stage as well quite nicely. And he understood that when you create campaigns for different stages and phases of the user journey, you need to then adjust your keywords and also your bidding strategy appropriately. So he's mentioned how he would allocate his budget and also the decisions he'd make. Do we have anyone else? Let's take one last person to take us through their thoughts about what kind of keywords they would use at each stage, and also the different bidding strategies that they would implement and why. Anyone?
There is Shazia, there is comments that I'm happy to read from Mimi Lee. She said that use target location as keywords. Let me look at my settings here. I think I'm not audible. And for Darren, says that group 3 consideration stage, we'll look at target intent based keywords. So the keywords are outfit finder app, where to buy clothes from photos, AI fashion search, clothing scanner app, bidding strategy, target CPA.
Okay. Thank you, Mashudu. So yeah, thank you everyone for participating. It does seem that there is a general understanding about what we were trying to achieve here, right? So it's understanding how keywords play a role when it comes to campaign optimization, the different keywords to use at the different stages or phases where a user is in, and it's important to understand that, and also how to adjust your bidding strategy based on the different phases and objectives that you are trying to receive. Do we have any questions on this? You can also drop them in the chat if you're comfortable with that. Okay. So this was a quite a quick session. I think it was allocated more time because it was supposed to be done in a group. However, I think that we are satisfied with the participation from everyone in the chats and also the few people who unmuted and shared their thoughts. So just to recap what we covered, we looked at how to identify high value keywords for paid ad campaigns, right? And then we looked at how you can implement different effective bidding strategies for maximum return on investments and to also achieve your different goals for the campaigns. We discussed how to set appropriate bidding strategies and utilize competitive bidding techniques. And then we discussed how to optimize keyword performance for continued campaign success, especially at the different phases of the user journey. Okay, so that's what we covered in this short session. I'd like to also learn from you what your what your key takeaways are from today's session. So what are some of the key takeaways? What are the next steps that you're going to be implementing in your campaigns once you set them up? Were there any learnings that stood out to you? Was there anything interesting that you didn't know before? And just a general sense of how you will be approaching your campaigns from now onwards. You can also leave your responses in the chat. I'll give you just a few minutes. Oh, we do have a hand. You can unmute.
Hi, Shazia. Thank you. I think the one key thing that's standing out for me is, first of all, the repetition in terms of the content from Monday. And I think that's very important because sometimes you hear something and you forget it. But like as the days have been going, you guys have been drilling keywords and certain key concepts for us to grasp. And I think that's the first key takeaway. I think the other key takeaway is I have a newfound respect for sales and marketing because as we go into the course, this is a lot of work. And I also, I guess, just reflecting, I'm realizing how much effort it takes to run a successful business in the sense that so many things have to go right. And you can have a great product and great team and great idea, but like mess up the marketing and that causes the whole thing to crumble down. So and then I think one one last quick thing from my side is when I look at my SEO, and all the other stuff, I realize that hey, I don't have like a strategy for this. And I think one thing you were discussing today around having a unified process, um, around the keywords, the SEO, the intent, the core value prop, and like how all of that ties together. For me, the key thing is the app name I have doesn't indicate our core value prop. So I'm realizing small little things like having your core value prop in the title, both on the app stores and on your website. Things like that are super important. Just to mention some of the few.